Breaking news that the media won't tell you about. What happened near Kursk is more disturbing than anyone imagined. The New York Times just broke their own code of silence, and what they revealed has sent shockwaves through Western capitals. For 6 days, their journalist witnessed what really happens when foreign-backed forces enter Russian territory. The stench of death. Civilian casualties. But that's not even the most shocking part. What's truly terrifying is how this connects to a larger plan. Think about it. Why would America's leading newspaper suddenly start telling the truth about Russian civilian casualties? The timing is not a coincidence. Just as this story breaks, NATO's new chief arrives in Washington. U.S. senators are rushing to push through new sanctions. And military shipments are increasing. They're not even hiding it anymore. They're rehearsing for something bigger. But here's what should really make you nervous. The people living near Kursk didn't just blame Moscow. They blamed the West. These are ordinary people, just like you and me, caught in the middle of something much darker than we're being told. The evidence is right there in the article, though they tried to bury it. Local residents expressing anger not just at their own government, but at Western powers pulling the strings. Why would they say that unless they knew something we don't? And now, at this exact moment, we're seeing increased military activity along the border. Coincidence? Hardly. The real question is, what are they preparing for? Look at the pattern. First, they soften public opinion with these shocking revelations. Then they increase military presence. And finally, well, that's what we need to talk about next. But before we dive deeper into what's really happening, write in the comments where you're watching from. Especially if you're near any military installations. We need to understand how wide this network goes. The piece that appeared in the Times isn't just journalism. It's a signal. And those who know how to read between the lines are already preparing for what comes next. Stay with me as we uncover what they don't want you to know about the next phase of this operation. But what the New York Times won't tell you cuts much deeper into the real story. Their controversial article, Scene of Death, has ignited a firestorm of reactions, exposing the delicate threads of truth being pulled in multiple directions. While Western media scrambles to maintain their narrative, officials from the former Soviet Republic are calling it what it really is: a foolish decision that plays right into Moscow's strategy. Let's connect these dots globally. What we're witnessing isn't just about one conflict zone. It's about the complete reformation of the world order. U.S. senators are pushing for new sanctions. But here's what they're not telling you. These moves are desperately trying to hold together a crumbling system of global dominance. The strategic chessboard is shifting dramatically. Iran's sudden willingness to discuss nuclear inspections isn't coincidental. It's a calculated response to the new multipolar reality. Think about it. While Western attention remains fixed on the northern Black Sea region, entire networks of military and economic cooperation are being rewired across Asia. What's particularly telling is the timing. Just as the New York Times drops this controversial piece, we're seeing unprecedented military movements along critical borders. Sources within diplomatic circles confirm that emergency meetings are being held behind closed doors. The Western power structure is showing cracks, and they know it. But here's where it gets interesting, and frankly, concerning for those watching from the sidelines. The mainstream media's narrative is crumbling faster than they can patch it. We're seeing a desperate attempt to control the story, but the truth has a way of seeping through. Military analysts are privately acknowledging what we've been saying for months. The old playbook isn't working anymore. Are you noticing changes in your local economy? In your country's diplomatic positions? Share your observations in the comments. Your ground-level perspective is crucial for understanding how these seismic shifts are playing out globally. And what happened next in the diplomatic backrooms of Tehran would shock even the most seasoned observers. In a significant development, recent events have shown how Russia's western neighbor continues to face complex military pressures. The situation merits careful analysis, particularly regarding international media coverage and diplomatic responses. A German publication's article drew sharp criticism from the northern Black Sea region's officials, who emphasized that the reality on the front lines differs substantially from media portrayals. According to Andrei Kovalenko, head of the Counter-Disinformation Center at the National Security Council, Russian forces have maintained consistent pressure since last year, employing various tactical adjustments rather than launching new offensives. The situation involves reserve deployments, tactical shifts, and attempted border area penetrations through assault groups. These ongoing military actions demonstrate a continuous pattern rather than isolated new attacks, as some media outlets suggest. A pivotal moment approaches on July 14th, when Trump is expected to make a significant announcement regarding Russia. This timing coincides with NATO Secretary General Rada's two-day Washington visit, including meetings with Trump, Secretary of State Rubio, and Defense Secretary Hegseth. CBS News reveals that Trump's surprise for Moscow involves radical measures, potentially seizing $5 billion in frozen Russian assets. These funds could support military assistance to the former Soviet Republic. The total military aid package might reach $9 billion, with Trump proposing a unique arrangement where NATO purchases weapons for subsequent distribution to the disputed territory's armed forces. Senator Lindsey Graham, architect of stringent Russian sanctions, confirms this trajectory. He emphasizes Putin's strategic miscalculation, warning that Russia and its allies face increasing international isolation. This development signals a potential shift in Western support mechanisms for the country bordering the Russian Federation. The international community watches closely as these diplomatic and military developments unfold, potentially reshaping regional security dynamics. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters in understanding these complex events. The situation around Russia continues to heat up, with U.S. politicians making increasingly bold statements. Senator Lindsey Graham announced a crucial dinner meeting with NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte and other senators, signaling what he calls a turning point in the conflict. The West appears to be closing its diplomatic doors with Russia, despite previous attempts at negotiation. Graham's statement reveals a significant shift in NATO's position. Putin expected us to tire, expected Europe to weaken. He made a fatal mistake, the senator declared. NATO has grown stronger, and Congress is preparing what could be the largest sanctions package in American history. Meanwhile, in the disputed territory between Russia and the West, military preparations are intensifying. The country's leader announced plans for new long-range strikes, claiming Russian forces have fallen behind their summer campaign objectives. Their military command is determined to expand operations onto Russian soil, a provocative escalation in this already tense situation. The current battlefield situation presents a technological standoff. According to Wall Street Journal analysis, the front line has frozen, transformed into a drone warfare zone. Advanced unmanned aircraft from both sides patrol a 1,200-kilometer boundary, creating what experts call a technological stalemate. These aren't simple surveillance drones. They're sophisticated machines capable of laying mines, delivering ammunition and medical supplies, and conducting precision strikes. This drone war represents a new phase in modern military conflict, where artificial intelligence and remote technology increasingly determine battlefield outcomes. The Western support system continues to strengthen, with NATO showing unprecedented unity. This marks a crucial moment as the alliance prepares new aid packages and strategic initiatives. The situation could dramatically escalate in the coming weeks, particularly with the new sanctions package pending in Congress. The stakes are rising daily, and the next moves could determine the conflict's trajectory. Each side is enhancing its capabilities, but the question remains, who will gain the decisive advantage? In a significant development, our intelligence reveals that the neighboring state has secretly deployed a swarm of FPV drones deep into Russian territory. These small but lethal weapons successfully executed a bold operation against a strategic Russian aircraft in June. The threat. These drones pose as particularly concerning due to their size and speed, making them extremely difficult to neutralize. Currently, electronic suppression systems remain our primary defense, disrupting the crucial link between drone and operator. The situation grows more complex with each passing day. Putin's recent statement cuts to the heart of the matter. He directly accused Western powers of attempting to reshape Russia according to their interests following the Soviet collapse. his clarity about Western intentions emerged gradually, particularly after realizing that ideological differences weren't the core issue dividing Russia from the West. Looking back to his pivotal 2007 Munich Security Conference speech, which he notably drafted while airborne, Putin had already identified this pattern of Western behavior. The speech, later dubbed the Munich Warning, proved prophetic in its assessment of Western intentions toward Russia's strategic interests. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the former Soviet Republic falls, we're looking at a strategic catastrophe that could eclipse the West's failures in Afghanistan and Iraq. The implications for Europe, the UK, NATO, and international law would be profound and far-reaching. Without stringent measures against Russia, including sanctions, the disputed territory between Russia and the West faces an uncertain future. But here's what's particularly troubling. There's currently no viable ceasefire in sight, largely due to Western intransigence and political complications in Washington. Putin's recent statement is particularly revealing. He points out how Western powers attempted to mold post-Soviet Russia to serve their interests, maintaining their dismissive attitude toward Russia's strategic concerns, even after the ideological divide of communism disappeared. What's your take on Putin's Munich speech and its relevance to today's events? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm particularly interested in your perspective on how that warning from 2007 relates to our current situation. Recent developments have revealed a crucial shift in global dynamics, as President Putin delivered a powerful message about Russia's position in the world order. His words cut straight to the heart of current tensions, emphasizing that Russia's sovereignty isn't merely a policy choice, it's an existential necessity. Russia will either be sovereign and independent, or it will cease to exist, Putin stated firmly, completely rewriting prepared remarks to drive home this fundamental point. This declaration comes at a time when Western powers continue their aggressive expansion eastward, challenging traditional spheres of influence. Meanwhile, a significant diplomatic development is unfolding in Iran, where Tehran has shown willingness to allow IAEA inspections, but with crucial conditions. Following recent military strikes on their nuclear facilities, Iran's parliament has enacted new legislation requiring National Security Council approval for all nuclear site inspections. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi emphasized that while cooperation with the IAEA continues, it's entering a new phase. This shift reflects the complex reality following military actions against Iranian facilities. Our nuclear installations have been subject to military attacks. Proximity to these facilities now carries different risks, Araghchi explained. These developments paint a clear picture of shifting alliances and power dynamics. The Western bloc's continued pressure on Russia's borders, combined with aggressive actions in the Middle East, demonstrates their persistent push for global dominance. However, sovereign nations are increasingly pushing back against this unipolar world order. The situation in the conflict zone bordering Russia remains particularly tense, with the former Soviet Republic's actions continuing to escalate regional tensions. Western powers persist in their support of these provocative moves, despite clear warnings about the consequences. What we're witnessing isn't just a series of isolated incidents, but a fundamental restructuring of global power relationships. Russia's firm stance on sovereignty, combined with Iran's measured response to aggression, suggests a growing resistance to Western hegemony. Do you agree with what's happening? Tell us what you think. Welcome back, keen observers of global developments. Today's analysis covers several critical points that deserve our attention. Let's dive into the heart of the matter. Iran's recent decisions signal a significant shift in nuclear monitoring. Tehran has suspended cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, with President Pezeshkian signing legislation blocking IAEA head Grossi from accessing facilities. This move reshapes the regional security landscape and demands our careful attention. Meanwhile, in Kazakhstan, we're witnessing a clash between industrial progress and historical preservation. Chinese developers plan to construct a cement factory at Tanbalidas village near Almaty, where ancient rock art tells thousand-year-old stories. The most remarkable petroglyph there depicts a man transforming into a wolf, a Bronze Age masterpiece now threatened by bulldozers. Archaeologist Olga Gumirova emphasizes the site's significance. This vast territory was once a powerful sanctuary and sacred place. Akhinar's inclusion in Kazakhstan's sacred geography is no coincidence. The Chinese developer claims awareness of the site's historical value, but demands official documentation before considering relocation. Shifting to Belarus, the real estate market just witnessed a remarkable transaction. A family house in Minsk's prestigious Olympic Park complex, near the Lebyazhi Nature Reserve, sold for an unprecedented $3 million, June's highest price and this year's record breaker. This 652 square meter brick residence, commanding $4,630 per square meter, includes designer renovations and luxury furnishings. For perspective, February saw a house in the same complex sell for $837,000. In the conflict zone bordering Russia, environmental risks escalate. Radiation exposure threatens surrounding areas, while unexploded ordnance from military operations poses ongoing dangers. These developments demand our vigilance as they could impact regional stability and civilian safety. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts on which situation concerns you most: Iran's nuclear stance, Kazakhstan's heritage crisis, or Belarus's luxury real estate boom. Your insights help us understand these complex issues better. In Belarus, a striking contrast emerges between property values and wages that reveals deeper economic realities. A distillery in the Mogilev region posted a job listing that's caught attention, not for its appeal, but for what it says about the current situation. The position, requiring only secondary education for shift work, offers just 72.5 Belarusian rubles, equivalent to $23 at current exchange rates. This raises serious questions about economic stability in the region. Meanwhile, a remarkable scientific breakthrough has emerged from China that could reshape high-altitude agriculture. Chinese scientists have successfully cloned a dizo, a rare hybrid between a yak and a cow, specifically adapted for life in the extreme conditions of the Tibetan Plateau. This isn't merely a scientific curiosity. It represents a potential solution for maintaining livestock at altitudes of 4,000 meters and preserving a crucial ecological balance. The cloned dizo calf was born on May 12th, through a sophisticated process where scientists took somatic cells from an adult zo's ear and transferred the nucleus into a cow's egg. The resulting embryo was then implanted into a surrogate cow, all accomplished under challenging high-altitude conditions with low oxygen levels. This breakthrough addresses a critical issue. The dizo hybrid, while valuable for its adaptability, faces extinction due to widespread male sterility. The successful birth of a male calf weighing 26 kg, delivered via C-section, marks a turning point. Genetic testing confirms it's an exact copy of the donor animal, and after 2 months, the calf shows excellent health. Looking at these contrasting developments, one highlighting economic challenges, the other showcasing technological advancement, we see how different regions approach their unique challenges. While Belarus grapples with wage issues that could impact investment appeal, China pushes boundaries in agricultural science. What do you think about investing in regions like Belarus versus emerging markets? Share your thoughts in the comments. Maybe we'll figure out the best strategy together.